gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER. I'm Michael. We've got Andrew. And we've got Dayveonne. The Brewski.
Bussy, not Busky. Don't disrespect the last name.
What's going on? How you guys feeling today?
Still in it.
Yeah.
Still in it.
You said still in it?
That's the phrase, yeah. Still in it. You're still here. We're still
Gotcha.
we're hanging in there, so to speak.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Let's Alright, so we're going to talk about a lot of different things today. But one of them, there was an issue with the Grammys? Was it the Grammys? So Dayveonne, you brought this up. I'll let you take this one.
All right, so pretty much one of the legends. Forget for looking scruffy. I don't care at this moment. His name is Baby. He's a pioneer and a legend, and basically a legend of R&B music.
Right.
He was pulled by two ladies from the AP company, that production company where they deal with news and everything, but also they're starting to dip and dab into media and stuff now, like with pop culture and stuff. So one of them was being very professional. I will give that one credit where credit is due. But the other one, while interviewing Babyface, comes out her mind like, oh, such and such. I forgot the artist's name. That's tell you how much I care about the artist. But while in interview with Babyface was like, that was disrespectful. And he said, I guess you want this person more than me. So guess what? I'll cut this off. It was just the fact that you ain't let him finish the interview. That's how much disrespect it was. You're supposed to let him finish the interview and then bring the other artist. But I guess because she was still wet behind the ears, but still, that's no excuse.
Right. Now, I saw this a while ago, and I know this was new for you to check this out, Drew. You just saw it. What's your reaction?
I saw this 45 seconds ago.
Right.
And it, first off, red carpet stuff, this type of like, I don't know, public circle jerk that is the interview with celebrities and musicians and stuff. I get that it serves a function in the industry. I understand that.
Right.
But it falls into like the kind of sphere of journalism to where if you're going to go and get a quote from someone, the rookie thing to do is let your source or let the person that you're speaking to give you the quote. The fact that I don't know if it's like a generational attention span thing. I don't know if it's a casual disrespect towards men thing. I don't know if it's just we're like Dayveonne just said, wet behind the ears, or it's just the idea that, well, maybe this was someone just actively being a dick, to just be frank. Just an instance of someone just not being professional and just kind of coming off as a jerk. Now, to be fair, no, I can't be fair on this, because afterwards they go on and they have their little, hey, we know what we did wasn't cool. I apologize to Babyface. I love Baby. It's the same kind of like, it was the same disingenuous Hollywood crap where they do what they do and then you give the retraction after the fact, and it's the same kind of hearts and horseshoes crap. It just felt disingenuous.
It definitely is. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, it's just a slap in the face to basically us as a people. You pretty much say, and it shouldn't be, and it doesn't have anything to do with just Babyface. This means you could do that to anybody.
Well, you know, I think it's also interesting. The reaction has been different based on the generation. If you're older, you know what generation, you know what the artist that Babyface worked with, and it's a little bit more emotional. I believe that she didn't know who he was, point blank. And for her to say, oh, I love him, that means someone tipped her on to who he actually was, and she was trying to like you said, clean it up after the fact. But whoever this young artist that's like, I guess, hot for the second
What was her
or
name?
new.
She looked like another cosplayer, which I'm like, great, no one of those on planet Earth. But no, her name I guess was Chapel.
Yeah, Chapel.
Haven't heard tune one from her. She
Right.
walked up. I'm like, it's just a lolly chick. All right, cool. But I guess that's what's hip with the kids right now. All right, I thought it was Billie Eilish, but all right, for sure. But the attitude of it, it was dingy. We'll forget about it in 1 week. I promise you all, we won't care in 1 week. I will say though, to Babyface's credit, as a kid, I was always kind of a meh on Babyface. R&B, it's okay. It was in our house back in the day.
Right.
But I was in my room like bumping, Deftones and Depeche Mode, stuff like that. So I was kind of an odd man out. But just the same, we know Babyface.
Yeah.
All of us grew up in households that played Babyface.
Right.
So it's the idea that you probably don't know who Babyface is. You're probably a younger audience. So it's one thing to just kind of be caught up in the moment and have your little puppy dog moment. Chapel! And then, all right, I get it. But after the fact, I'm a huge Babyface fan. It's like,
No, you're not. You don't know who he was. Stop. Right.
Now you're irritated.
Like,
You didn't have to lie. It's okay.
And you played it up.
No, it's the professionalism. That's the thing. I'm a person that goes to those red carpets, whether I'm in the press booth or not. I still give whoever comes to me the utmost respect, whether I know the person or not.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. My logic is this. As the journalist, you're walking up to them and asking moments of their time. That's what an interview is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? It's the press being able to sit down with a person with a microphone and get their take on something. You've asked of them their time.
Right.
It's I guess the operative word for this segment is disrespect.
Right.
It's disrespectful to ask of someone time, regardless of who they are. This could have been anyone. This could have been Cher. This could have been, I don't know, name any artist, name any musician from any era, whether she knew them or not. You ask of this person's time, let them get the quote. Don't be a child. Stop being a child. I think it might be a generational thing, but it's like, dude, grow up. If you're going to do the job, be mature about it.
Yeah, and not only that, first off, you shouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm starstruck. I could do that after the camera's off.
You can do that, but there's a line.
There's a way to do it.
So there's a way to do it. You can be kind of giddy and still manage to get the quote and be professional about it.
Right.
But again, that might just be like the attitude out here.
So let
And
me ask you
maybe
this. This is on the lines of Grammys still, as we move on a little bit. But do you think we're going too far with using every moment that we can to point out racism, or we're not going far enough? And I say that because, Beyonce got Best Country Album, right? But the other side to it is Country Music Award. She didn't get any of these things. So it's interesting how someone within their own genre that they're stepping into didn't get any kind of play. And then here's the Grammys giving the highest awards to her work.
It's a give and take. Is when you have if you wanted to put that on like hip hop, for example, the albums that win Best Album of the Year aren't always universally known as the best album of the year among the hip hop community, right? You have like independent and underground artists who you could argue make way better stuff. But the general consensus is whatever that group considers to be the cream of the crop, whatever's the cream of the crop for that segment. That you said, thank you. Wrestling fans know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But for that, section of the genre, that's their top 10. That's their top 5. That's their top album. In the, I guess, more mainstream pop culture world, you could have top albums that people in that group hear. It's like, that's garbage. That was like, that album was trash. But everybody else loved it. It did numbers. It's at the Grammys. So I guess it's country. So I guess I'm kind of like, all right, they didn't give her any awards. I'm not really surprised. I can't say I'm really surprised, just given details and what they are.
It's just interesting how it's too far to the left and the right. Like yes, maybe there was some racism, and who are you, and why are you dipping into this?
Possible, sure.
But then again, the best of the, I mean, it's just, then you hear the other stories with the Grammys of smoozing, because Jay put a lot of energy talking about, hey, you guys never give her album of the year. Like, I wonder how much of this was political or pay to play. It just seems.
It's all a big social circle jerk, man. It's all just who are we schmoozing up to? Remember in high school how there was like the populars and then there was like the nerds and the jocks. Hollywood and the industry, as it were, is it's that clique. It's the clique of the same people over and over again. It's the same people in film. It's the same people in music. It's the same people in fashion. It's all the same show.
I gotta disagree with you on it. It's the opposite.
Explain.
Those people in high school, they used to be the popular people, the jocks and everything else, was the ones that bullied the people that are popular and mainstream and today.
I see your argument. Okay. And in that regard, I agree. It's the idea that like the kids who were shunned back in the day, they've now become the tastemakers and the leads in that industry because that's what they devoted their time to because they weren't being socially mating. So, okay, all right, yeah.
I see where you were going with it, but I understand that where you were going there too, Andrew. You were just saying like that structure of we're gonna let you in. It's the same kind of.
Says to his crop of the same people that all kind of run in the same circles.
Right.
It's open to the public in a sense. Anybody can try out, but you know good and well every year it's going to essentially be the same people that are favored among their group.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It's the gatekeeping game.
It was Beyonce was always going to get album of the year. If she made a hip hop album, it was going to be album of the year. If she made a country album, it was going to be album of the year in that circle. Yeah. Regardless of whether or not hip hop, country, or whatever genre she was dabbling in agrees or not.
I want to see her do a polka album next year.
Whatever's hot, that's what.
I keep telling myself, y'all do you. I'm like,
whatever's hot, that's what Beyonce going to be affiliated with.
Sure. Okay, that's a thing.
Yeah, because it's like, and I hate saying it, but it's true.
But I gotta throw this out there just because I'm waiting for the Beehive to come for me. So, but it was very interesting how she was crafty to get a lot of support for the other Black women in the country. They really, or at least perceived support. I can't. It's weird because there's one eye that's like, yo, that's so beautiful and that's so great. But then the other eye says it's so calculated. It was just so calculated. It didn't seem natural, you know?
I'm not a country fan. I can't tell you the last time I listened to a Beyonce track. All right. I'm sorry. I got okay.
You know what? Yeah, I can't tell you. Okay. My bad. The last time I heard Beyonce track was with her and Andre 3000. We Like to Party.
Wow, that long ago?
Yeah.
When was that? That feels a long time ago. But yeah. Andre 3000? Yeah, that was definitely a long time ago.
The powers that be are really not on the pulse of what we listen to or who we support. And I've observed that for years. Like, it's interesting how, like, for instance, if there was a national emergency or some sort of event and someone of the Black community is affected, who are the three people that are going to have to talk? One of the three people they'll push to talk tomorrow. Be John Legend, Alicia Keys. Who's the other go-to? Common.
Common? Yeah. Common? Yeah.
I find, again, just, I guess, the marketing or whatever, but we don't look to them for anything. Like, they're not on our radar as a people.
What do you mean exactly?
Say it again?
Look to them. We don't look to them for
that voice. They seem to always putting them in these positions to be like, if there's like if there is a, I don't know, Lifetime Achievement Award, or if there was a George Floyd situation, if they like every time they put them out there, they put them in a very, very interesting position, a position that no one really didn't really co-sign on. So, for instance, I'll say it even for Beyonce. It was interesting. I think it was 2022. There were a lot of films on Netflix. Every one that was written by Caucasian writers, when they had to put a black reference, whether it be like a romance or a relationship or something, there was always a line about Jay-Z and Beyonce.
You right?
For that around that time. I mentioned it on a show before, and a lot of people didn't realize that. And we don't look at them for our relationship goals as people.
Well, when you say we don't, who are you referring to?
As black people. But for some reason, the others believe that we like, oh, we love her. Like, not really, no. We know, I mean, what's her name? Anne Marie. There's more, I mean, there's tons of other singers and other people that have this aura of being wholesome or strong women and attractive or talent that we would go to quicker. But for some reason, there's this perception. Again, going back to that circle, that whole Hollywood circle, but these are the people they look up to.
You hear the idea that such and such needs to be the Jay-Z to someone's Beyonce. First off, it's really interesting how the perception is a person who is considered the highest in her craft suddenly becomes the every woman. I do find it falls into that whole, again, culture of narcissism that we harbor, where everyone's a goddess queen 10 out of 10. And therefore, anyone who shows up must be, of course, a Jay-Z, which is basically code for a reformed millionaire Pookie, basically. You had to push weight, you had to do all the cool gangster stuff, you had to get shot 18 times, you got to be 50 pot. And, and that's supposed to be the dynamic to reach any kind of, like, I guess, worth in a relationship or marriage or whatever. But that became like the norm. To round that down to a thought, that the idea of the Beyonce, Jay-Z power couple dynamic, it spawns from that. And that became a lot of people's standard. Delusionally, that became the standard. So,
but you know what makes it deep? And I'll move on to films and stuff like that too, because I do want to talk on a different show to get really down and dirty. But I have to say this because it's relevant, because you dropped some jewels there, Drew. I find it interesting how you could market, and I don't have anything against anybody. I could care less. They don't affect my life. They don't affect me as an artist.
None of this affects my life. It's just I make commentary on it, sure.
Right.
But I don't rock in this that culture or the idea that, like, I don't chase that crap. So it's just commentary.
Just commentary. But it's interesting.
No feelings attacked.
Because I saw this documentary on color and colorism and people that were mixed and people that were dark skinned, light, that the whole gambit. And there's this thing, and these are people in other countries, and how, like, the ultimate woman is B, bae, whatever, like that. And as a black man, like, what are you marketing to me? You're marketing, and I don't know if you noticed that this last album, she became a lot more fair skinned. And if you didn't take a look, you wouldn't even know there was a sister.
Who is it? Is Beyonce still?
Yeah, the album, the cowboy thing, right? But I just think it's interesting how in the documentary they said she's the ultimate woman, she's the ultimate black woman. Everyone in our generation wants to be her. But then what you're saying is that everybody wants to have a blonde wig. Everybody wants to be a white woman.
Well, it's in Beyonce's case, it would be the not necessarily whitewashed, but Europeanized take on what an attractive woman of African descent would look like. It's this the whitewashing element of she's beautiful for a black woman, which is the concept. Again, if you're a even quasi normal, because I know I'm abnormal as hell. But even for like a quasi-normal person, when it comes to attraction, color is an extant factor, right? Like like I guess to go further into it, for every hue, for every racial phenotype, for every like ethnicity of woman on the planet, I've seen one every type and been like, damn, she's cute.
100%. Or banging. Or like, yo.
Damn.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, damn, I wonder what our kids would look like. It's like, that's just a normal thing. So to sit there and have this obsession with altering what is innate beauty to make it fit a different standard, I get why we do it. That's just kind of that European thing that's been ingrained in multiple cultures across the globe. Right. I when I see that, and I see, what's her name? Who's the athlete? Serena Williams. Oh. How she looked before, years prior, and how she looks now. And I'm like, see, that's part of it.
It's the same, but it's the same. And again, and again, the disclaimer: we don't care about these people. They don't know. But as a commentary thing, because these are the ultimate women. This is the branding. The branding is the bleached skin. The branding is the blonde wig or blonde weave.
These women that you uphold as being basically the top in their field. Again, it's like, okay, yeah, she's attractive, but with the blonde, the blonde stuff, and all the clown paint, all the bleaching. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, but I guess that's their perception of beauty. It's unfortunate, but my thing is, I ain't got no dog in that fight. I see beauty in like different types.
Right.
At least it's like
100%.
It's just kind of like, all right, y'all, y'all do you.
Actually, there's actually a new competition. I forget which country this is, but there's a new beauty competition in some part of Africa where you are banned from having any kind of weave or wig. Like they're like, no, we are like, nope, we're not doing this. I want natural beauties, and I respect them for trying to do this. I want to see how far it goes. Because it's too far.
Riding in the streets over their hair hats. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see how long it lasts. Oh man, that's funny.
But you know what it is? I think part of it, women are starting to become more materialistic when it comes, and it's not all women. It's just certain ones.
Starting, Dayveonne. Start.
Wow. I think we might have to start that new show quicker.
Anyway, starting.
That's starting. Okay.
Yeah. They're just now developing this person, this trait. Yeah, sure.
No, but part of it is, some of it is manipulated. Like some of them was manipulating into the materialistic, because not all the women were into that at first.
Now, are you talking about observing? Because there's a bunch of levels. If you're talking about a time period, you're talking about different cultures, or you're talking about different age groups. Because that could all...
I think throughout time, age groups, and different environments.
Because this is not new. This goes back a long time.
Longer than I think you realize, Dayveonne. Okay. I'm gonna try to be nice about this. I'm gonna really try, you guys.
Be nice.
From the beginning of time, the dynamic has been the dynamic of man and woman on an atavistic level. The man has things that the woman wants. Man wants to mate with woman. So the idea is that from the beginning of time, I'm going to use whatever that he has to my benefit. That whole idea of getting resources and stuff. Mm-hmm. So the materialism is ingrained in human DNA. Adam gives Eve an apple, just hypothetically. Adam gives Eve an apple. She's like, oh, this is the guy where I get my apples from. She latches onto it. That's the dynamic. So the materialism is right there. I'm not this idea that this is a recent development that they've always been of the soul. It's about what's on the inside. I'm like, no, y'all. Just be tall, have money, have food, be able to hunt, and you could be a tyrant. You can make us Saraglio and have a whole harem of us up in there. We're cool with being sister wives. Just gimme. Materials, give me them. That's what that is. It's always been there.
It's not getting any better.
No, it's just, I will say that it's getting worse, sure. Absolutely. Are they getting, more materialistic than even, sure. I agree.
To the point where the past generations is getting upset about it.
There's contention, but here's the thing. The previous generations were they were given privileges that I think a lot of modern women now, well, it's a kind of a give and take. There were certain necessities, I'll rephrase this. There were certain necessities that our foremothers had to go through where they were married, right? They were taken care of because that was the obligation. That was kind of the pact between the man and the woman back in the day. She takes care of the house and the kids. He goes out and works and provides and does all that stuff, right? It was a different dynamic that isn't necessarily, it's not incumbent on our generation now. They can go out and work. Women can go out and have their own places and have property and have cars and all that stuff. They don't need a partner for that stuff, which then just makes the argument of being a provider, this whole argument of 666, becomes then kind of curious. It's like, wait, you still want us to give you everything, all the things, the treatment of our forefathers, but to the modern, strong and independent woman.
Right, because you also had, you had religion, faith, you had community, there were other things in the dynamic, and then of course, to your point, there was survival, right? There were survival things. Well,
Sure.
you do that, and then there's that partnership of, well, if you do this and I'll do this, and we could cohabitate, and we could, you had all this. But yeah, and were there problems with it? 100%. Were there things off? 100%. But
Yeah.
But the thing that makes it worse now is that, like, well, I don't really need you. Well, I don't really need you. So now it's like you have this weird thing of like, technically nobody in today's society really needs each other. You could kind of survive on your own.
Right.
Like, well, I'll cook for myself. Well, I'll hunt for myself. Well, I'll da-da-da. The only thing that you kind of need each other for is to reproduce. And even that, there's banks, and there's so many other sperm banks and
so. And again, I'm not necessarily speaking disparagingly on any side of it. If you're the type that wants to have a family and kids and do that whole nuclear family thing, go ahead, knock yourself out, give it a shot. It's hard. It's not for everybody. It's difficult, and it ends half the time. But it's like, go for it. That's your choice. Your gift and your curse. If you want to be the type that doesn't do any of that crap, that's more the school that I'm in, where I'm like, I'm gonna do me, right? And it's not about devoting myself to this upholding, I guess, what some would consider an archaic ideal of the family unit.
Right. And there's no social pressure, because you would look at back in the day for a very long time, maybe even 1,000 years, if not go further. Well, how come you don't got nobody? There'll be this pressure. You see, even old movies not that long ago, 50s and 60s, it'd be like, well, you're doing really good, Johnson, for the company, but we can't give you that VP position until you get married. We want a stable guy.
They still do that. It's this idea that if you're a family man, that you're more likely to be tethered to the company and the corporation, and you're going to be more loyal. It's another shackle as far as I'm concerned. It's dingy. One less reason to get married and have kids. But it's like two different schools that are like at odds with each other, and I'm not necessarily against either. But for me in particular, it's like it's not worth it.
Right.
Just levels of more like to it's like levels of control.
Exactly.
More tethers.
Like, this is what you have to do to make it in society.
Yeah.
This is what a society accepts. That other stuff, no.
It's become kind of a funny argument that pops up a lot in the whole like culture discussion, and I think it's kind of interesting. Because for a time, I can't speak on you guys and your experience, but it's like I recall getting asked. I still get asked by my mom, "So you're really not going to have kids? I'm like, not going to give you grandkids?" I'm like, "Mom, you got 2 out of 3 of us gave you kids. You have a boy and a girl. I think you won. I can bow out. I'm allowed to bow out." But
all right. So wait, this has been a very interesting episode. We're gonna do another one. Actually, talk about films on the next one, but this is good. Because this is definitely some, keep the conversation going. Leave us comments. Curious, what do you think about the Grammys? What do you think about where we're going, just with artistic expression and how we reward and don't reward those things? And also, what do you think about the dynamic between relationships today? You're watching GEEKCASTER, and we'll be back. You watch us on cable. See you next week.